Hello, this is Group 4's country analysis of China and it being an outsourcing powerhouse. Our group consists of Ryan Graves, Emily Hankey, Patricia Noguera, and Jonathan Rivas. Hello, my name is Jonathan Rivas, and I'll start with slide 2, discussing the overview of China. We all know China as one of the international powerhouses that compete economically with the United States and the rest of the world powers. And one of the main reasons that they've become such a powerhouse is by their strong culture. And what I mean by that is it is instilled by them at a young age that worth ethic is one of the most important things that a person could have. And by having a strong work ethic, it helps distinguish yourself from others. And it distinguishes your family because family culture and image is very important in the country. And when it comes to having strong work ethic, it leads to having strong business ethic because of the work ethic culture that was established. The main language in China is Mandarin, with more of the rural areas speaking Cantonese. But as progression has moved and China becoming a powerhouse, English has become a very common second language, and because of that, business standards and communication with the international world has become a lot more prosperous because of the ease of communication. China has a huge stance when it comes to education, and it encourages that education is a necessity for someone to succeed. And although it may be stereotypical or not, the truth is China is one of the leaders when it comes to math, science, and other high level education. And because of that, when students graduate, they have a strong base and knowledge point that will be available for outsourced work because there's so much educated people in the country now. It is well known that China is a communist country, and obviously there will be a lot of political controversies discussing this, but leaving that aside, it is clear that the government emphasizes these three topics that I discussed before, which is culture, their language, and education. And because of this, has led the country to become one of the powerhouses of the world. On slide 3, I'll be discussing the main three services that China provides for businesses in outsourcing, starting with ITO, which is IT outsourcing. And we all know what IT is, but let's just go into some of the services that the IT outsourcing in China provides, such as application support, data center, which you could store company data in the cloud via the data center, network operations and maintenance for your company, security, maintenance, and etc. Then we'll move on to knowledge process outsourcing, which is basically information related activities which is important for a company, especially with its flow. So, examples of what knowledge process handles, it could be legal matters, obviously, financial, analytics for the company to see where it can improve, as well as numbers, and as well as research and reasons and solutions on how the company can improve. And lastly, there's business process outsourcing, which is when a company has a contract with an outsourcing company and they handle key company components, whether it's training of employees, education of employees, handling HR matters, as well as handling things such as accounting and CRM management. So all three of these, when combined, forms the complete business nucleus of China's business outsourcing. Going on to slide 4, we'll go deeper into ITO, IT outsourcing. And it's clearly the largest portion of outsourcing that China provides to businesses. So let's go into the numbers. It is growing at a 4% rate, which is a rapid pace annually. And 70% of China's outsourcing is ITO, where only about 10% is BPO, business process outsourcing. And the other 20% of that is like a combination of ITO and BPO. And there are around about 20,000 IT service firms in China with over 3 million employees employed by them. So the number of people that China could provide to other countries for outsourcing is remarkable. And like I discussed earlier, many of these employees are highly educated, which makes this country much more appealing compared to other countries that might not have the same strength in education. The next slide will be presented by Emily Hankey.
Hi, my name is Emily Hankey, and I'm going to be taking over the ITO part of the presentation, which is what Jonathan was discussing prior. The current market value as of 2022 in China is projected to be at $23.39 billion, and there's an expected annual growth rate of 10.64%, which is going to lead to a market increase of $97.91 billion by 2026. The estimated compound annual growth rate in China is 21.1% over the analysis period ranging from 2020 to 2027. This is pretty substantial compared to other countries. You have Japan, who's at 11.9%, Canada at 14.4%, and Germany at 14%, just to name a couple. So this shows that the growth expected in the ITO market in China is pretty significant. There are also Chinese firms that have forecasted to reach a projected market size of $36 billion by 2027. Other countries such as Australia, India, and South Korea are forecast to reach $24.3 billion by 2027. So that's almost over $10 billion difference between China and the rest of those countries. We'll now be moving on to the BPO, and the Chinese BPO service market had a total revenue of $25 billion in 2020. This represented a compound annual growth rate of 2.2% between the years of 2016 and 2020. The reason for the growth in BPO is the strong emphasis the government has directed into improving the infrastructure, especially around major cities such as Beijing and Shanghai. These cities have invested billions of dollars towards improving the network infrastructure as well as strengthening their existing IT infrastructure. We'll now be directing it over to Patricia, who will get into the smart cities development, the competitive strengths as ITO, KPO, and BPO venues, as well as the major risk factors that are considered along efforts by industry or governments to counter them.
Hi, my name is Patricia Noguera, and I'll be continuing with China's smart cities development. China is home to 9 out of 20 of the largest tech companies in the world, so you can imagine a spilling influence for dynamic new city centers. China's 31 smart cities have next generation technologies like IoT, cloud computing, and decision making optimization to facilitate a city's core systems like transportation and energy resources. Beijing earns a reputation through advancements like quantum computing, AI, big data, and 5G. But China also has other established outsourcing cities. To the north, near Beijing, there is Tianjin and Dalian. Tianjin is one of 5 new AI innovation zones. These innovation zones promote breakthroughs in AI like smart manufacturing, smart ports, and smart communities. In Dalian, the high-tech zone is home to hundreds of top-tier tech companies, including several on the Fortune Global 500 list. And to the south, we have the Greater Bay Area, Guangzhou and Shenzhen, a hub for scientific and technological advances. And with their proximity to Hong Kong, makes it China's Silicon Valley. Giant names in the deep tech industry like Tencent and Huawei are homegrown unicorns from Shenzhen, and gaming giant NetEase also has roots in Guangzhou. The city is the largest robot production base in the country, and Forbes also ranked Guangzhou as the best commercial city in China for the last 3 consecutive years. The strengths of China's outsourcing market. Let's look at economics. China is the fastest growing trillion-dollar economy, with a top purchasing power parity ranking of $25 trillion, while the US trails closely behind with at least $19 trillion. Next is China's massive IT infrastructure. This is from substantial investments in technologies such as cloud computing, IoT, AI, and big data. Setting up shop in China also guarantees immediate and long-term profits just by the size of its population. China has the world's largest middle-income group, who are increasingly spending on premium lifestyle services and experiences. This boom has created consumer demand from various types of businesses and is driving foreign investors to enter into outsourcing partnerships with local firms. It also allows companies to expand their user base or to tap into upcoming markets using proven targeted demographics. Currently, China has 15 metropolitan areas categorized as first-tier cities based on innovation capabilities of commercial resources, livability, transportation convenience, and economic development zones. The government also plays a big hand to attract offshore investors. They offer favorable tax policies and financial support to establish good working relationships with local outsourcing service providers. And the last strength, which is usually overlooked, is expertise. Beijing is a leader in the development of software and platform businesses and encourages many Chinese-born U.S. graduates to bring their talents back to Beijing instead of Silicon Valley. So, along with millions of freelance professionals and virtual teams, China also offers learning packages and training programs to improve skills and expertise in various outsourcing fields. Along with any country, there are risks to be aware of, but there are steps to counter them. Politically, China has a weak data privacy law, so a company must take steps to address data privacy protection. The country is known for cyber espionage and cyber attacks. In fact, organized cybercrime is a $15 billion industry with about 400,000 hackers. But that just goes to show the abundance of tech-savvy people in China. Like any other negotiation, a company should conduct audits of assets, risks, and adopt preventative measures, but should also understand China's intellectual property legal landscape. Another risk, common in all offshore situations, are the cultural and language barriers. But if other countries can do it, so can you. Keep in mind, there is a different attitude towards what is considered high quality in China than in US or Europe. Also, to work in solidarity and don't abuse the supplier and try to push costs down too far. Key virtues in an outsourcing relationship are ask and listen, embrace differences, and blend leadership styles. With initiatives like the 31 demonstration outsourcing cities, Made in China 2025, and the Digital Silk Road, China has prioritized efforts to become a global technology superpower. From here, Ryan will take over China's growth projection.
Thank you, Patricia. Hello, class. This is Ryan speaking. Let me tell you about the massive growth projection China has coming its way for the ITO, KPO, and BPO segments. Let's just start with the numbers. In just 5 years, from 2017 to 2022, the software development industry rapidly expanded by nearly 7%. That's near $1.2 trillion US value. Software gained China's expanding domestic market now at a near 50% profit for the entire industry in 2021. How does this relate to China? Well, China's growing domestic market, which is also referred to as an internal market or domestic trading, is the supply and demand of goods, services, and securities within a single country. We're talking a major growing demand here. As Jonathan stated, approximately 70% of China's outsourcing services are ITO. In China alone, there are multiple acquisitions and mergers that take place. What this does is boost industry concentration and profitability of the population. With these rapidly increasing numbers, demand for software services and products will rise in Western China as citizens' incomes rise. On to business process outsourcing. BPO-driven markets produce better communication skills and an improved infrastructure. In this slide, I will show you examples of BPO services that are outsourced to China according to the industry vertical. China has the manpower to take over services for all three sections. In banking and financing, China has many proven services that are outsourced for application development and maintenance. Now, this is definitely needed in the banking and financing industry, as all new banking companies are using applications and they need to maintain their data. This goes along with pharmaceutical and medical service companies as well, offloading their data center management services to China. This is warehousing, this is maintenance, queries, all handled by China, and then in retail as well. China has proven services to take over system testing and support for these IT service companies. Along with KPO in the banking and financing industry, China takes over actuarial product pricing and delinquency analysis. This is proven because China has the knowledge, their manpower has the knowledge to take over these services. One risk of going into this and outsourcing the services is the employees not having the knowledge, but China does, and it's proven. In the pharmaceutical and medical services companies, China can actually outsource patent design and portfolio analysis, which is huge. Now, patents can get very tricky and they're very technical in terms. The fact that China can handle this process for companies is huge. In retail, in the KPO space, China can handle market and strategic research for customer data analysis. This is big as we get into big data in this century. It's all about customer data and how we can predict decisions. China can handle that in the retail space, which is very huge. That will save a lot of money and labor for companies in America. In banking and financing in the BPO space, China can handle customer support services well. They have the manpower, they have the grammar, the language in place, they can speak English. This will take over customer support services for companies, and definitely save lots of money. We're talking thousands. Instead of paying minimum wage over there, we can just pay the Chinese wages for customer support. Pretty much what every company needs. They could also handle call centers. This works great with pharmaceutical and medical services, as there's a lot more inquiries in this space and a lot longer phone conversations. And data processing in retail. China can handle data entry and data processing. They have the manpower to do so as well. In this space specifically, time is not necessarily of the essence, just deadlines. So that time change difference is not going to make a big impact on data entry and processing in the retail space. Let me discuss some of the opportunities that China has to offer. With its rise in demand of onshoring outsourcing funded by direct foreign investment, this means that the demand from enterprise is expected to increase along with new opportunities that are being created. Increasing demand for KPO, ITO, and BPO leads to an increase in flexibility. This gives you cost advantages to clients through integrated services. Speaking about KPO specifically, KPO is knowledge process outsourcing, the outsourcing of core processes. This means companies' main functions can be outsourced and then managed by U.S. companies like us. This decreases the organizational structure vertically, cutting major costs, as workers in the KPO area are typically paid the highest. Data shows that from January to November 2020, the amount of service outsourcing contracts undertaken by enterprises on the Chinese mainland reached 1.29779 trillion yuan, with the execution amount reaching 922.6 billion yuan. That's up to 12.9% and 16.4% year to year, respectively. Some KPO offshoring examples that have truly dominated in the Chinese space are business solutions. This includes market research, definitely a very valuable area as it grows with this big data trend. Project planning design, huge in the industrial design space, as well as research and development, pharmaceuticals, financial products. These are all examples of KPO services that are increasing for demand in China, which China can supply for us, U.S. companies. Based off of everything you heard and all the information we have given to you about the outsourcing in China, I have one recommendation, and that is outsource in China. China has a growing ITO, KPO, and BPO concentration. There's major high demand in China and plenty of room for growth. China trumps in IP management services, research and analysis, industrial design, and R&D in the medical industry. This gives unlimited options to new companies with low capital, wanting to start up and wanting to make it against competitors. The fact that China can handle KPO services, BPO services, and IT services makes it very competitive and makes it a lot easier to start companies. They have a 28% market growth rate that was calculated in 2012. This is huge compared to neighboring countries such as Japan at 11.6% or Korea at 18.4%. Final recommendation, as stated, is outsource in China. You're going to save money and you're going to have a lot less headaches. Thank you.